Ladies, what is the most obvious hint you've dropped that went unnoticed by a guy?
Early interaction with my boyfriend. Me, that suit looks great on you. It would look better on the floor. Him, that would wrinkle the suit. Nothing reminds you better how unattractive you are than reading these sorts of threads and realizing no woman has ever dropped any hint remotely similar to these to you.
In high school I sat next to a very quiet guy that I liked, and whenever I was cold I made my arm touch his. He would never move but never talk to me other than to ask about class. 10 years later I messaged him on Facebook asking about the reunion and jokingly asked him to be my date. He said sure, why not. We've been married for a year next month. He said he didn't remember me from high school.
Me, so you're saying, if I like this guy, I should just be straightforward and ask him out? Him, yeah. Me, okay, do you want to go out with me this Friday? Him, yeah, just like that, it was perfect. Me. Edit, whoops, totally forgot about this. Yeah, this was like 10 years ago, so this is how I remember it. I was trying to feel him out before that because I really had no idea if he was into me at all, and if he said no, then I could kind of play it off as a joke. I was a teenager, give me a break lol. After the pause, I repeated myself but put emphasis on you, and he laughed and said yes, smiley face.
This girl was sitting with our group of boys and saying, if I was to get with one of you, it would be you, my name, and I was just like, aw thanks very much, very kind of you to say that.
I told my boyfriend to get naked and he responded, you get naked, so I said, okay. I will if you're nice to me, winking face. He laughed and went to sleep. Guess he didn't want to be nice, _ Edit, he didn't think I was being serious until he woke up to me masturbating. When I was in senior in high school during prom season, there was this girl in most of the classes I was attending. We were good friends, we had much in common, we were at the top of our class. Also, I thought she was cute. One day she and her friend approaches me during lunch. Girl, hey, don't you wanna ask me something? Raises eyebrows. Me, I don't know, what? She and her friend gives each other a look. Girl, are you going to prom? Me, I'm not sure, I don't have anyone to with. End scene. I didn't get the hint until years after. But I did end up going to prom with the fellas. I'm a fool.
I knew this girl for a year and had feelings for her the whole time. We got close for a few weeks, and one time I'm watching some films at hers. It gets late and I start to head out. She says, I don't want you to go. Thinking she was just feeling lonely or whatever, I follow her upstairs and we get in bed, and do nothing. Lights go out, we start going to sleep. I'm sitting there the whole time thinking, damn, I wish I had the balls to make a move but don't. Then she sits up, takes her top off in a way I couldn't possibly miss, and lies down again. Still, I don't get that she's trying to make moves on me. 10 minutes later she finally gives up and just kisses me. She mocked me about this for months after.
At the end of high school, I found out that one of my close female friends had a huge crush on me for years, and I had missed all of her signals. We remained chat buddies as we went through college, and at one point she invited me to her sorority's yearly ball. I said, sure, that sounds like fun. Still didn't get it. As soon as we arrived at the ball, one of her sorority sisters sidled up to me and whispered, careful, we spiked the punch a lot. Don't drink too much, you'll thank me later. Okay, starting to wonder. While I was debating in my head whether to try flirting with her or not, my friend sat on my lap, looked at me, and said, mine. The rest of the night was glorious.
One time I was texting my BF and told him that I bought a vibrator for the nights he was away at work or something rather. His exact response was, oh cool, what color? I sent him a pic of it and he replied with, can you put it up your butt too? I sent him a text replying, come over and find out, and he replied 2 minutes later, never mind, I just googled it. Edit, haha, over 1k upvotes. Thanks guys, I hope my failed attempt at sexting brightened your day or something less than 3.
My then not boyfriend and I were waiting at the train station on my train home. He would leave with the bus after it arrived. My train came and I thought fuck it and kissed my then not boyfriend on the mouth. Immediately after, I jumped on the train, on which the doors then closed. I didn't see his reaction nor felt it, so I sat pretty anxious on the train, thinking I ruined it all. About 5 minutes later, I got a text saying, that was meant as a friend's kiss, right? Lol, bless his heart.
After a conversation with my boyfriend about not being obvious enough when trying to initiate sex, I decided to entice him by posing naked on the corner of the bed and seductively whispering, "Hey, you," as he walked in the room. His reaction? He walks in the room, gives me a bro nod, and says, "Hey, babe. I gotta poop." We did not end up having sex that night.
Not exactly an answer to the cue but related. I was dating a guy who told me up front that he was terrible at picking up the signs that someone liked him, was flirting, etc. So on our third date, we planned that he would stay the night at my place. I thought that was pretty obvious, but just to make sure, I put a bunch of condoms on a platter on the bed, with notes all around it, pointing to the platter that said, "This is a sign." He thought it was hilarious. We had sex. It was awesome.
He asked if I had a boyfriend and said he was nervous to try start something with me. I explicitly said no, I don't, and you shouldn't be. Yet he does nothing. 4 months later we eventually end up going out, still together now.
Hitting on my now boyfriend of 3 years. I was complimenting him on how handsome he was and how he had beautiful eyes. I wanted a closer view of them, so he texted me this creepy ass shot of his eyeball with his eye as widely opened as possible. He legitimately thought that's what I wanted. After our first date, I immediately started talking about potential future dates and how much fun I had with him. I stayed out so late that I missed my friend's party. However, because I didn't hug him properly and ask to split the cost of the meal, he thought I wasn't actually interested.
Put out my hand for him to hold and he high-fived me.
When I was 18 and foolish, a girl once asked me if I was into role-playing games. I said of course. And promptly started showing her my WoW account. She left pretty soon after.
I was living with my then boyfriend a few years ago. Feeling a little flirtatious, I suggested we could take a shower together, to save water, wink wink. His response? Why? We don't pay for water. Shut down.
Last summer I was doing my best to seduce who is my current boyfriend. We were going swimming at a friend's house, and while they were changing into their bathing suits in the house, me and him make our way to the pool. I take advantage of this moment to strip in front of him, as sensual as possible. Bathing suit was underneath my clothes. He runs past me, full sprint, and cannonballs into the pool.
All these comments are making me not want to try any hints at all. For now on, I'm just going to be straightforward.
Hint: want to have sex in the shower later. Response: sure. *** later, in the shower, waiting forever, door left cracked open. I give up. ***. Question: why didn't you come into the shower? Response: oh. I didn't know you wanted me to. ***, crickets ***. This has happened more than once.
I told him he could come home with me after the movie and show me a move we saw during a sex scene. He didn't go home with me. I don't think it was because he found me unattractive, but I can't be sure anymore. Edit: in response to many commenters, the movie was one of the latest James Bond flicks where he sneaks onto the enemy boat and manages to sex up the lady in the shower on the way. I also wouldn't have dared say something so bold if this wasn't our 4th date and we'd already progressed to making out during that movie. I thought it was the logical last step, but he just kissed me goodbye.
I love to share this one. A long time before my husband and I started dating, we were partying in my apartment. He said he was going to crash on the couch. I told him, "You can come sleep in my bed." I shit you not, he said, "Well, where would you sleep? I can't kick you out of your bed."
I had basically moved in with him because his ex had basically moved herself into my apartment, and I kept coming home from work to find random guys from Tinder she was fucking there. Long story. Anyway, I was at his house all the time, and went from sleeping on the couch to sleeping in his room on the extra mattress to sleeping in his bed to cuddling him to sleeping in his bed entirely naked and rubbing myself against him for several nights before anything happened. We are married now, so it worked out for me, but geez.
When me and my fiancé were in high school, we were best friends, which of course meant I was too big of a chicken to tell him how I really felt. Well, my move was to always take the seat in front of him and purposely have my thong showing while we had lectures. This went on for all the classes we had together, and we had a lot. I finally had to confess how I felt to him before he left our hometown for college after 3 years of this game. It turns out he was a chicken too. He said those 4 years were the biggest tease imaginable, it's hilarious to talk about now. Edit 1E if fiancé is a male, till.
After many moons of trying get this guy in bed, I straight up humped his leg in an act of horny desperation.
He thought it was hilarious.
Years later he asked me why we never hooked up. Edit, some clarification. We were making out on his couch at the time. I didn't just attack him and try to fuck his leg.
Halloween morning 2014, he knocked on my door to drive me to work. We had been friends for a month and he wouldn't make a move, so I answered the door in a t-shirt and cat ears and absolutely nothing else. That bastard walked right past me and looked for coffee in the kitchen. We've been married 10 months now, slightly smiling face. He claims he totally knew my intentions but knew being a gentleman would get him farther. I say he's full of it. Holy crud nuggets. This is my top comment ever, thanks internet strangers.
I started talking to a guy who was behind on Game of Thrones. So I offered to give him my HBO password so we could watch it at his place, thinking it would be a good excuse to hang out. He ends up marathoning the show without me. We're dating now, but he sure as hell not watched season 7 without me.
Asked a guy for his number after a meetup. Went on a date with him that he didn't realize was a date until his friend that we ran into texted him to apologize for crashing it. Currently sitting on the couch next to him, 3 years later, looking at dogs that are available for adoption. He eventually caught on.
Back in college, my now SO of 4 years would walk me home from class at night. Mustered up the courage to ask him to come upstairs and have some wine with me. Hard no. Okay, he's not into it. 2 months later, he invites me and my friends to a party. He's blackout drunk when we show up, and tells my friend that he's in love with me and got wasted cause he was nervous about seeing me. She convinces him to tell me, knowing I was also into him. Curveball told me that he was really into me, but didn't want to mess up my relationship. What relationship? Yeah, no, that guy from our class that you always talk to and giggle with. Matt. As in Matt with the boyfriend, Matt? Well, that strangely explains a lot. I look back on it now and see how I totally missed the hint. In college, a girl in my class came over to study, and when it got late she ended up wanting to stay. I had a couch in my room and said she could sleep on the couch. When I was getting ready for bed. I usually have a hard time falling asleep. Do you want to lay down together and watch Netflix with me? Me? Nah, I got a test tomorrow. But hey, I got an A on the damn test. Christina, if you're out there, I'm not gay, I just oblivious to hints.
Consider subscribing.